Hello, my name is David Turner and this is another episode of Lunar Poetry Shorts, and today I'm joined by Mel Jones, who is the who is the co-founder of Figures of Speech, and we're actually sitting in the Spared Eagle in Camden at the moment, and Figures of Speech is due to start in about 45 minutes, so we're just going to try and call one of these things. And by way of introduction, we'll start with a poem from Mel.
Thank you very much, darling. This poem I'm going to do because a friend of mine, Tara Fleur, was very recently banned mid-poem at a famous London venue because she said fuck too much. Apparently there were other people on the stage who said fuck, but they had penises, so that was okay. So this is dedicated to her, and it's called Fuck Me If You Think You're Hard Enough. I don't fall in love, I obsess. My infantile heart was lost the moment we undressed. My fantasy of you and me grew quicker than your cock the first time it saw these tits. My soul is in bits just awaiting that next call from you who, let's face it, I don't know at all. And I couldn't possibly have guessed that my yes would mean all this. Still, there's no need to piss yourself. Don't stress. Each time we fuck, the obsession will get a little bit less. I know myself. So the trick is, obviously, to fuck me cockeyed. That's the key. Fuck me till I squawk. If you want the stalker in me to die a little death, then fuck me till I haven't any breath, till I'm distraught. Otherwise, I'm dangerous. So muster your defences and roger me so hard that I come to my senses. Take me repeatedly until I boo and hiss your length and breadth, until soft tissues bruise and use up all the heat in me. Fuck me till I'm nothing but a sticky, oozing mess of juice and jizz. Fuck me until I refuse to kiss you. That kind of frequency and depth is therapy for me, and for you it's a fairly urgent health and safety issue.
Thank you.
Very much.
I'm really not very professional at that. Fucking corpse in now. That was good. Thank you.
Oh no, not the snort.
Okay, so my first question is why poetry?
Why poetry? Well, it's not. Poetry's one thing, and I love it. And I think of it as performance poetry, not page poetry, although I try and do that as well. But I started out doing singing. I'm a jazz singer, and there's a lot of singing in my family, Welsh family. And then writing songs with my sister, and then writing songs on my own. And then down the line, I was listening one late night to Radio 4, and they got a poetry slam on. I'd never heard of poetry slams. But I thought, well, I've written stuff as good as that. So I went off to a place called Bang Said the Gun in, it's just near, Borough. I was going to say, it's just down the road from Borough. And I won their open mic. It was called the, Meat Stew or something.
Yes,
open
that's
mic.
it.
Raw Meat Stew, that was it.
It.
I won that, and I never sort of looked back. I've done it ever since, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And I enjoy the people I've met through it, more importantly.
I try not to be too bitter and not mention that I haven't won Bang yet.
Well, when it's not everything.
We won't go over that.
No. Well, I'm very anti-competition.
It's not important, man.
No, of course it's not. I can tell by your voice.
I don't know who brought it up.
That it's hardly important at all to you at 4 o'clock in the morning as you're gnawing off your own foot. Yeah.
So, how often do you read your poetry in public? And you just mentioned actually that you consider yourself more of a stage poet, but have you had anything published?
Yes. I've got my own book. It's called. I might do that actually. That's a good one to do. And lots of anthologies. I was in the Morning Star once, and various other bits and pieces. There's a CD out and stuff like that. So there's lots of different places. It's come out over the years.
Let's have a second poem, and then we'll go on to another question.
Okay, well, I didn't know what to do, but as I mentioned, the book, which is called this was as a result of a drunken bet, somebody asked me to write a filthy poem, and I said that's not much of a bet. And so they decided that I'd got to write a poem about bestiality, only using words beginning with M, and I did think that was a bit of a challenge. So this is the result of that. It's called My mucky mate Megan's monstrous moggy, Magdalena, made my mistress Mandy moan, mouthing meows mellifluously. Maybe Mandy missed meeting male members. Maybe many malicious macho men mauled my mistress's mound, making Mandy murmur muddled musings, mutter mixed messages, make myriad mistakes. Mysterious. Meanwhile, my mucky mate Megan's monstrous moggy Magdalena moved, muffward, menacingly. Magdalena made moves many might mirror, mixing masturbatory mayhem, melting Mandy's misgivings, milking my mistress's meandering mucosal moisture meticulously. Mandy, marooned, mouthed more, make me marvellous. Magdalena munched, muscularly, minutely masticating, mechanically mincing Mandy's mind, maddeningly mainlining minge. Magnetic, messy, Moorish. Mel's memorandum, must meet Magdalena. It's filthy, it's just filth. I don't know why it's filth, but it is filth. What can I tell you?
Questions?
Yes, we're going to the question.
How do you critique your own work? Do you have people you share your writing with, or do you look for feedback mainly from audiences?
It's a bit of both, yeah. It's mainly from audiences. Occasionally I willfully leave in something that I find funny and nobody else else finds funny. But I have gone back repeatedly and edited and re-edited as a result of audience. Not just one audience, but if 3 or 4 times that's not working. Very often the hardest thing to do is to cut down a poem, because it's a good line, it's a good joke, but it alters the whole sort of pace of it. So when friends just say that's not working, or you need something else there, I do listen.
And how would you like to see your writing progress? I mean, would you like to see more stuff published, or would you like to develop it in a different style with your performing?
I have started trying to write more serious stuff, because I mean I love the filth, I love doing all that, and I love making people laugh, but I don't like being introduced as the filth, which started to happen. Not saying don't like, but there's more to me than that, and so I'm trying to develop it. It's
never nice to be pigeonholed, is it? Or it's limiting, isn't it?
That's it. So I'm doing some songs and things to ring the changes, but I'm also trying to write more serious poetry, simply as a challenge, because it's difficult, So I'm delving into those waters now as well.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we could have another poem, since you mentioned the word poem. Poetry podcast.
I did.
The last couple of questions.
I don't know why I did it, but okay. Well, let's have a serious poem. This is after reading a wonderful poet called Fran Locke, and she writes brutally honest stuff. And after reading her poem, I wrote this. It's called "For the Poet Who Harmed Herself." These brutal, beautiful lines you write on page, on skin, scramble my defences, allow the shouting out and the shadows in. Somewhere just beneath my dignity, the infant wail of stolen years, unspendable fury, blood and cum, the messy, stinking roiling of the past, a cauldron mass stirred by your witchery, breaks the surface scum.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So the last couple of questions, as usual, are the first one: what have been the main influences of your development as a writer or performer?
Other performers, and also reading lots and lots of comedy. I love comedy helps you whatever you're writing, because it gives you a sense of pace and timing. If you haven't got those things, you can't write anything, I don't think, well.
Yeah.
And so I read P.G. Wodehouse, I read Georgette Heyer, I read nonsense poems, Kipling and things like that, and watch lots of comedy, situation comedy and all that kind of stuff, and listen to other funny performers. I mean, there are so many great comics at the moment, and a lot of that is very, very similar to performance poetry. I don't know why there's this demarcation line. There does seem to be a difference. Perhaps with the audience, I think comedy audience is a bit more feral than poetry audience. Poetry evening audience give me a chance.
It's just the word poetry puts people off, and I think people that would normally go and happily watch very, very experimental or alternative comedy won't venture and watch a poetry night. Perhaps that's maybe all it is, because you're right. I mean, there is sometimes a very little difference between if you watch someone put on a very, very alternative or dark comedy set, it can be
well, it either makes you laugh or it doesn't.
Yes.
And yes, you're right. Yes, the drama and comedy are not exclusive to one genre. No, yes, absolutely.
Final question: what or who would you recommend to our listeners to go out and see, read, or watch?
I realised that this question was there. I mean, there's a list as long as your arm.
Yes.
Recently saw Ross Sutherland, absolutely marvellous performer. Fanny Walker is another great one. Rob Orton is he's quite well known now, but he's been good all the way through, even when he wasn't. But I would go on to a website called Poetry in London and have a look on there and see some of the great possibilities there are out there, because there's Cat Francois is one kind of poet. Mab Jones is another kind of poet. I mean, you've recently interviewed Michelle Madsen. There's another kind of poet Curious. It's not just about, I mean, they're great poets, Polar Bear and Kate Tempest, but it's not just about them. It's not just about social commentary and the beauty of and lyricism of their writing. There's such a vast array. And you should be able to tell from the blurb, what kind of evening it's going to be.
I'm glad you brought that up, actually, that it's not always about social commentary, because it's quite a big, I think it's quite an important debate that people should be having, as whether there should be a sort of overt message through poetry, because that's not really in my view, that's not really the point.
Well, that's why we called it Friggers of Speech. Let's take it and let's frig it. Yes. Oh no, I must mention the Anti-Poet. Of course, everybody should see the Anti-Poet. Yeah. It's silly not to. They combine music and poetry to great effect, great comedic effect.
And is there anything that you would recommend that isn't spoken word based or poetry based?
Well, just go out to your local theatre, the one above a pub. Go there and see what people are doing, because you don't have to spend loads of money. This is a free gig. There's loads of free gigs around in London. Or you pay a £5. You pay less than you would to go to the cinema, and you see people that put in their heart and soul into something. Yeah. I think that's always exciting.
And go to Scratch Nights.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't know what Scratch Night is, Google that. I'm not going to explain it.
Absolutely, no.
Thank you, Mel. That was really I nearly wet my pants. It's hilarious.
Well, this is I do try to leave people wetter than when they started.
Almost said. I hope you could hear the pub's getting a bit busy now, so I hope I'm sure we beat their noise. Thank you, Mel.
Thank you. Come to Friggers of Speech every second Wednesday at the Spread Eagle in Camden. It's at the top of the building and it's absolutely free.
And as always, you lot can now just go away.